Hey, it's Lee. Welcome to Business Problem Solved. Today, I have the immense pleasure of chatting with Scott Rolph. Scott is the global head of continuous improvement and cost transformation at none other than BT. How are you, Scott?
Not too bad. Glad to be here.
Yeah, not as glad as I am that you're here. This would be a very one-sided conversation if you weren't. But for those people, who don't know who Scott is Scott, and how has he got to this position today?
Who am I? It's a very good question. So I'm ultimately a family man. So I'm married. I've got two amazing kids. Sometimes they're not as amazing as they could be, but that's what drives me day to day. I've ultimately had 22 years with BT now, and that's what's got me to the job I'm currently in now, which is part of our global business, working with a lot of our international customers. But I originally joined back in 1999 and as an apprentice, and thought I was going to stay for a couple of years, move on, become an accountant, if you can believe that, and my career would have gone on a different path. And fortunately, it's become that career for life that people talked about in the past, and it's very much taken me all across the world, given me loads of different roles, from engineering all the way down to the business improvement type stuff that I do today. So it's been an exciting journey.
Yeah, wow. So man and boy, so was it straight from primary school?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's my youthful looks are still keeping with me. Yeah, I came straight out of A levels, decided to join BT, took on the apprenticeship, and never looked back really.
Yeah, no, I love that. There's not many people now that I speak to that are lifers in organisations that people like to move. And I don't want to focus largely on BT today, but what is it that's kept you at BT?
I think it's just the fact that I've been able to move around. So with an organisation as big as BT, as many others are similar, is that you don't need to be constrained to one role. So, I've gone through leading engineering teams. I've been a project manager. I was fortunate to be part of running one of the venues during the Olympics. I've run advertising. So actually, if you're willing to look around, it all exists within the same company. I could have gone external, of course, but as yet, I've not had the need to.
Yeah, no, amazing. I love that. What is it that motivates you, and that to actually, because you've tried your hand at different stuff within the same organisation. What is it that motivates you to keep trying different things or experimenting? Have you always been that type of person?
I think so. I mean, it ultimately comes down to two things. One is the people that I work with and work for. So I've never taken on a role where I've not felt excited by the role and got to know what that culture looks like. So met my boss and so forth. So I thrive off of other people. I love being part of that community. Obviously, the last year has been a bit different virtually, but on the whole, still got to work with great people. And ultimately, I've always treated any job that I've done as if it's my own company and they're my people, which means that I've constantly strived to do the best that I can in that environment before I then possibly move on to another role. Yeah. So that just keeps my energy up, and it keeps me passionate about what I do.
Yeah, so people come across quite strongly then in your answer. And like you said, when you just started then, the last 12, 18 months have been quite a challenge to stay connected with people. How have you found it? Being so people-centric, how have you found this, and how's your team found this?
Well, we're quite fortunate. As I said, I currently work in a global part of the business, so most of our contacts are international anyway. So video call was relatively normal, apart from obviously meeting people in the London offices and so forth. So actually, we've just taken that further. Video calls have just become the norm, getting people together on calls and having that balance of work conversations on calls and very light-hearted personal, because you've got to break it up as if you would have had banter in the office. It's no difference.
Yeah, completely. So I guess how are you going to be reverting back to the way it was before, or have you had some lessons over the last 12 to 18 months that you want to share? And I guess actually, just to take it a step further, there are a lot of organisations and people I speak to that have had massive challenges to go from physical to virtual, and now they're going to try to find this hybrid potential solution. But if you've had this opportunity for a number of years to work virtually and hybrid and stuff, how best or what advice do you have to share for people that are in a similar position?
Well, it's basically about embracing change, embracing the way that we can use technology and so forth. You know, we don't necessarily need to be face to face, but the key bit is around the trust of your employees, essentially, because just because they're not in front of you in the office doesn't mean they're not working, they're not being effective. And I've been working on a piece of work over the last year externally with a company called Engage for Success around people productivity, and it's about understanding how you can help drive and motivate and support people, and COVID really brought it to life, regardless of where they are. So that's been quite good. And I've also been able to work on a customer experience World Games as well. So that allowed me to work with other CX people across the globe, helping charities and so forth solve some of their business problems. And actually, when you think that you can do that anywhere in the world, still be very effective, that proves that you can do that in your day-to-day life as well. So it's how companies learn from those mistakes, possibly previously, take on board all of the trust, and actually how things haven't collapsed during COVID. People have still been effective working from home, and leverage that going forward. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to say something now. Actually, you are a really senior person in a massive organisation. You're doing stuff externally, and like the collaborations that you just spoke about then. What is the secret of your success, Scott?
It's got to be the people around me. I'd love to say it's because I'm absolutely amazing, which of course I am. But I only have succeeded because I've had great teams working for me. I've had great teams working with me. So they help us succeed together, and I just happen to then push myself from my next career step. So yeah, they can take all the glory. I just take the promotions.
Yeah, you do the financial reward. Yeah, no. So I mean, that's quite that's an answer that you've just given there. But I'd like to really dig into you, because for you to say it's about the people, there's your people, you are people centric, and that comes across really strongly in everything you say and all of the answers that you're giving. You use the word trust before, and about bringing everybody together and stuff, and you've got all of the external stuff and this stuff. So what is it that allows you, what makes you, and what allows you to build trust, to create these teams that work with you and work for you, to allow you to be successful? What is your, I'm going to ask you the same question again. What is your secret, Scott?
I mean, ultimately, it's about that common sense of purpose. I talked about, I always apply it as if it's my own company. Yeah. So actually then taking people in that journey, and I treat people no differently in work to how I do outside of work. You'll get the same Scott regardless. And actually that, sometimes I'm perceived to be a bit laid back, but actually it's because if I don't trust in my people, if I don't believe in their capability, then there's no point. You know, I'm a firm believer that I should be able to take weeks off of leave and nothing collapses behind me, which makes me feel like I know I'm successful, because that team is, one, I've helped them with their development, hopefully. They help each other with their development, and we all were driving towards the same outcome, whether that's, you know, for our customers or ultimately for themselves or the business, whatever it may be, that we're all there to help each other.
Are you somebody, Scott, that trusts people instantly, or does trust have to be built with you?
So on the whole, I trust people instantly. Sometimes, on the rare occasion, I have been let down, and that's natural to happen. I think there's been the odd person where I've been a bit wary at first and given them a few months to prove it to me. But on the whole, yeah, I've got to give up trust, because I expect the same in return. Yeah. If I, you know, join a new team, I'd expect to be trusted, and if I'm their boss, I expect them to trust in me and let me prove it to them that why they have trusted me. So yeah, you have to in some cases, because otherwise you spend so long focusing on the negatives and looking for the possibility that they're not trustworthy that you forget to do the good stuff.
Yeah. What's your biggest failure, Scott? Have you had a failure?
I've probably had tons along the journey, and that's I mean, in some cases that's driven my career. Because you always mess up. There's been roles where I've made the wrong decision, and I know I made the wrong decision at the time, and that has a big impact, especially when you're in a large business like this. But actually, my biggest success off the back of it was then how I recovered from it, how I fixed the problem. And I guess that's what drove me into the continuous improvement space, because actually that's ultimately what you're trying to do every day. You're fixing the mistakes that you're learning from. And if you haven't learned from it, that obviously that's a big problem. But that's what I've taken forward. Good to make mistakes, but learn from it and fix it and stop it from happening again. So yeah, I've had plenty of mistakes, both in work and personal life. And actually the two very nicely knit together, because it makes me realize that actually there's always going to be things going wrong in your life. Generally, you're always going to come out the back of it, but it's just finding either the right support or the right coping mechanism or the right way to fix it and take it forward.
You come across as quite a positive chap, Scott. Is that the case?
I try to be, yeah, because there's no point dwelling on the past. I'm a big fan of looking forward, finding something positive to focus your mind on. Sometimes that doesn't always happen, but you have to celebrate the small successes, as I tell my team, and try and figure out where we're going and continue to focus in that direction, because otherwise it's a depressing day otherwise.
Yeah, definitely can be. So did you say it was 18 years you've been at BT? Was that how many years you said? Or
22.
22 years at BT. If you were to offer your 22-year younger self some advice, just starting at BT, what would you say, knowing what you know now?
So a lot of it is about being more bolder and confident. So although I'm full of energy now, when I first joined BT, I was a lot shyer, a lot quieter. And actually, half your career progress is also making a big song and dance about what you do, making yourself visible, networking and so forth. And actually, if I'd given myself that little kick up the arse 22 years ago, I might have been even further ahead in my career or gone in different directions. But yeah, don't be afraid to be a little bit loud at times, a little bit of, here's my successes and I'm going to make sure that you know about it, because that self-promotion helps others see it as well. You can't always rely on other people to call out your good work.
Yeah, completely. I love that. Somebody said to me last week, actually, they introduced I think it was PI as an acronym, performance, image, and then exposure. And they say it doesn't matter about your performance is the least important in those three things. It's about your image and exposure exposure first, image, and then and your performance is last. That's just your foundation. But if nobody knows about it, nobody knows who you are, then you've only got yourself to blame ultimately as well. You're kind of like hiding and waiting for people to recognise you. And I know I've been in that position where I've done a bloody good job here. Why does nobody know? Why does nobody know? But you've got that self-publicity, I think, is so key. In fact, actually, that's just sparked another question. How did you go about that? How do you know what's the right things to shout about? Or who's the right people to talk to if you were starting off on that journey? How would you go about it, increasing your image and exposure?
So half of the battle is seeking that feedback. And it's something I learned. I was fortunate to have some good line managers and indirect line managers that were willing to give support to young apprentices back in the day. But yeah, sometimes you just need to reach out to someone and say, look, I'm doing this, and this. And sometimes it's good to get a mentor. How do you think that comes across? And how do I need to promote that? Or who do I need to make aware of that? Because I want to progress my career. hopefully people want to progress their career.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I should go. So don't suffer alone, or don't think that you can, figure it out for yourself. There's plenty of people out there that have got that experience and advice that can lend it to you. Sometimes there'll be wrong advice, fine.
Yeah.
But you just got to take it on board and see where it takes you. And obviously learn from those that are doing a job really well that you want to aspire to be like. And also learn from the one that you think, oh my God, they're making an absolute car crash of that job, and I'll never be that person.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Completely. And what is your dream, Scott?
I would, in work-wise, I'd love to run my own business. As most people will know, there's probably two sides to my business mind. One, I'd like to be very professional and run my own consultancy business because, lots of experience. The other side of me is the fun side, which is I'd love to run my own nightclub.
Wow.
Which has been designed in my head, and even locations picked. But obviously I need a lot of money, so we'll see which one comes first.
Why not? Why? I understand the consultancy thing, but why a nightclub?
It goes back to my energy and the people bit. I love, everyone loved being in a nightclub when they was younger, and I just love the energy that you see from people. Everyone's enjoying themselves. Everyone's generally smiling until they've had a few too many drinks. But yeah, just being able to run that, I'm a bit of a night bird at times, so yeah, being able to come alive at night, see everyone having a good time, and hopefully enjoy whatever club I build.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What's your what type of music would be on in your club?
It's a good question. So I'm very old school house and garage, but obviously we've got to get down with the kids nowadays. So I guess I'd leave that to the DJ.
Yeah. I saw a post over there on LinkedIn. It asked, "What was your criminal? Tell us what your criminal record is." And I was like scrolling through for all these horrendous stories of people doing naughty things and stuff and going to prison. But what it actually meant by what your criminal record is what is your record? What's the song that is either so cheesy or so bad that people would groan at if they ever knew that this was your record? So that's why they called it a criminal record. Ooh. So I'm going to ask you, Scott, now, because you're talking about nightclubs and music and stuff. What would tell us your criminal record?
So mine has always been dancing on the ceiling.
Has it?
Yeah. So I love that. I love playing that to energize me. I used to play it when I was a trainer at one time, and it just really gets you geared up for the day.
Yeah. And when you were saying it as well, you started smiling instantly. So it's obviously bringing back some fond memories. That song, I guess there. I love that. I love that. So when you talk about consultancy, or you've been in change now for a good number of years, what do you think makes successful change?
Well, no surprise, it goes back to the people bit. Because you can change systems, you can change where you want to head, you can tell your customers you're going to do loads of great stuff, but if you don't engage your people, they can ultimately stop all of that happening. So it's obviously one, you've got to have a decent, compelling message that gets people on board. That's only half of the battle, because you can say, we're going to do amazing things, we need you to come on that journey, but you've also got to work with them, because nothing is ever clear cut. We don't introduce a brand new system and it works perfectly from day one. So leaving people to their own devices to figure stuff out for themselves takes them on a really bad journey. Getting involved and continuing to support them and fix the issues as they happen and so forth, and show that you're with them, that proves to them that they can trust you, they can see that you're still helping to push towards where we said we'd go. And it's the same both in work and personal. You set yourself a goal and you're always going to face challenges, and it's how you continue to overcome those and keep moving forward so you can see progress and celebrate that progress. That's the key bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. One of my favorite answers that you've given so far was your very first one, when you said you're a family man, first and foremost. And you say you got two young children?
Yes, they got well, one's 16 and one's soon to be 8. Her son is 16 and my daughter is the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So a bit of a mix, different marriages. So back to that learning piece. But yeah, I always tell my teams family first, work comes second, because ultimately if you're not happy outside of work, you're going to bring that into work indirectly or whatever. And actually you need to make sure that there's the balance between it, which I've learned through mistakes. Back to your learnings, some of this where I was working too hard or getting stressed, and you take that home. So
yeah,
that has a knock-on effect on your personal life, which I've learned from.
Yeah. When with your two children now, would you encourage them to be a one company person or not?
Probably not. Not to say that might not be the right thing for them when they step up, but actually just continue to be open to new possibilities. As I said earlier, I wanted to become an accountant.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero of my jobs saw me become an accountant. But it's always been a financial theme to any role that I've done. So, just always look for a job that excites you. So don't be afraid to look at something that isn't normally in your skill set. Actually, there might be something out there where you can transfer skills and actually sounds really exciting, and you can start heading towards that direction. So yeah, I will help them wherever they want their careers to head, as long as they're open-minded and not just narrow to one focus area.
Yeah. People are really important to you, Scott, and that comes across in every answer you've given, whether it's family or whether it's team or whether it's peers or whatever it is. Have people always been important to you, or is there a reason or moment which made you change?
No, I guess they always have, and that mainly comes from my family upbringing. So always a very close family with my grandparents and so forth, and they, I could see how hard they work, but I could see how much they spent time as a family and helping us and giving advice and stuff. And actually all I've done is almost take that forward, and it's amazing. As a parent, you feel that you're never going to do what your parents did or your grandparents did, and actually you find yourself saying the exact same sentences and giving them the same advice and so forth. And yeah, that's what I just take forward, because I've got to work with people. I've got to have a good family relationship. So if I don't build that environment with the people around me, then I'm the only one that's going to suffer.
Yeah, I love that, Scott. And just a quick question about your hairline. Now, is that choice?
This has been shaved off since I was 18, and as you can see, I've actually got a full head of hair.
Yes.
That when I do let it grow, it's very thick, dark hair. But yeah, I like this, and fortunately, my wife loves a skinhead, so she loves The Rock and Vin Diesel and Jason Statham. Obviously, I look like all of them.
All of them, yeah. I was about to say that.
So yeah, growing my hair is a no-go.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you're fortunate to have that choice, aren't you? Because that mine's through actual receding hairline. Well, no, that's really good. That is really good. So, what are you having for your tea?
I believe we've got pork schnitzels, which I love.
Oh wow, that's a strong choice for a Tuesday, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I've become a big fan of them when I was working in Budapest, and my wife is also Latvian, so the pork and the schnitzels is something that yeah, it's come together.
Yeah, I love that. So international man, Scott. In fact, actually, because you've worked in a number of different countries, understood different cultures and stuff like that, has it always been, or have you always been able to work with the different cultures and different languages and different types of people? Is there a particular thing that has allowed you to work successfully with different cultures and overcome those barriers, or is it just down to your boyish good looks?
Well, obviously the good looks help massively. The moment I walk through the door, everyone's eyes up. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, each country has been very different. So I've not been able to take the same approach I would in the UK and sit down with the people in Hungary or India or Malaysia and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Some cases it's taken a bit longer, and that could be because there's a very hierarchical approach in that country. Others could be that there's different demographics and actually they work differently together. So you have to spend a little bit of time figuring out how it works, and then seeing how you can tailor your conversations or the training that I'm doing or whatever it may be to try and get them on board. So it's not a one size fits all, and it takes you a bit of time to do your homework and get to know the people. And that again goes back to my people side. I love to understand how people work, what their backgrounds are, what their family lives are like. I'm actually doing that at the moment. So my team, we have every now and then we have a team call where we catch up, and I call it chew the fat. So we just get together and talk about anything.
Yeah.
But at the moment, people are doing that. What's 2 minutes, 2 minutes. So they talk 2 minutes about their personal life, which generally I find sort of energizes people because it's very easy to talk about your personal life. And then they spend 2 minutes talking about their work experience as well and what they're doing today. And it just helps people open up a little bit more.
Yeah, I love that 2 minutes, 2 minutes. That's an amazing idea. I love that. I love that. No, perfect. So if people want to find out more about Scott, where would they go and what would you encourage them to do?
So they can find me on LinkedIn, obviously. They can reach out to me. I'm generally pretty well available, as this podcast proves.
Yeah.
I'm always willing to listen to anyone, speak to anyone, literally. And unless you're a pain in the ass that's trying to get business from me and just hounding my mailbox. But otherwise, no, seriously, I do like, speaking to new people. That's how I've grown my network. So please get in touch, and you'll find out a lot about me. Even if you Google me, you'll probably find pictures of when I've done charity boxing and so forth. So yeah, it's plenty to find out about me.
Oh wow! So I kind of want to. I don't want to ruin. Did you win the box? How many boxing bouts have you had?
So I've had 2, and I've drawn. Well, I drawn one, the first one, and I lost the second one.
Oh.
But there's a whole backstory to both those. But I was glad to just make it through and not damage these good looks.
Well, yeah, you've come out in one piece. You've come out in one piece. The wife will be very happy. No, amazing. Honestly, Scott, I just want to say thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you a little bit better, to understand a bit more about your story. But what's definitely come across for me is how much people are important to you, but just how genuine and honest and humble you are with everything you said. I think it's a testament to Scott the person, Scott the man, Scott the father, Scott the husband. So thank you so much for that. It's been an absolute pleasure, and good luck with the nightclub.
Yes, fingers crossed. We'll see. I'll invite you.
Yeah. Make sure you do the opening night.
Opening night.
Yeah, no, honestly, Scott, thanks so much. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I look forward to catching up soon.
No worries. You too.